Neither, neutral. Okay, we'll see how that goes. I thought money makes everybody get up here and get excited. This session is all about making money. Now how many people are charged up? Major improvement. I think people in this room are too rich. We should get you to start donating all your money. Hey. Yeah. Okay, so we'll get started with this session right away. Like I did in the previous panels, I'm not going to go into too long an introduction of my panelists. Quick word about each of them. We have Alan from U&I. They've done some amazing work and we hear more about what they've done. We've got Piyush, who runs Impact Guru, one of the most amazing crowdfunding platforms now in India. And we have Prabhu, who is from the Isha Foundation, Isha Education especially, and they again use volunteers extensively. All their profiles are up on the VolCon app, so if you want to read up their bios, feel free to go there and get more information. I'm going to get us started right away. So what I'll do very quickly is, I'll start first with you, Alan. I was very impressed. You guys recently did a campaign in 2 months, 100% volunteer-driven campaign. Let's see how many people guess. How much money do you think they would have raised in 2 months?
4 crores.
How much?
4 crores.
4 crores, okay.
A crore and a half.
Huh?
A crore and a half.
A crore and a half?
10.
7 crore, 10 crores. How many of you raised that kind of money in your life? Yeah? I struggle to raise 5 lakh rupees. You guys are coming up with 7. How has any of you raised 7 crores here? Please raise your hand if you have.
30 lakhs.
5 lakh rupees, I get exhausted. You guys come up with weird numbers. Maybe the way I framed that question was wrong. Right? So you set your imagination to fly. You said 30 lakhs? 20 to 30. Any other numbers?
Yeah, similar number.
Okay. So it's actually 1.9 crores. So 1.5 was not that bad a guess. Huh? So Alan, let us start it. Tell us, how the hell did you do that?
So morning guys, sorry to disappoint for those 7 crore people. It's a small number. Well, to give you a brief about our program, firstly, we are a volunteer-driven organization. We have 2,400 volunteers who serve about 2,200 kids. And it's a 9-month-long program, which each volunteer spends about 2.5 hours a week for this 9-month period. So right here, you have a system where they are invested in the cause. It's not like you come once and you're done with the cause. You're invested in the cause, you know what their pains are, and you know what is happening to the kids with respect to their education and with respect to what their requirements are. So you already have the system. Specific to your question, I have a couple of points. What made us a successful fundraising campaign, firstly from the organization side. It's a little long, it's okay. Yeah. So from the organization side, I have 2 points. We are approachable. Managers, founders, these are all just titles, you know. You're able to hear me? Yes. Yeah. Managers, founders, these are all just titles that we have at our place. For kids who are, at their education, they call their teachers sir. Here they come into an organization and they call the founder Rajat or me, Alan. They're not used to that and they immediately build a rapport with us. We have a personal connection with our volunteers. That's our strength. Then comes our structure. We have a dedicated fundraising team that plans the activity, gamifies the entire process, sets targets. It is broken down both from a city-wise, center-wise perspective. And each of them know what, the managers know what cities they have to handle. And during this time, the teach managers who take care of the teach program, none of their work is interrupted. Their work goes on as it is. So you see, it's a very focused activity. That's the organization part. Then comes the volunteer side. First is the program, as I said, right? It's a 9-month program. When you are with the kids for that long a period and you know that there's a need, naturally you would want to do more. The difficult part is getting them to volunteer. But once they are volunteering, they want to do more and more. And this is one opportunity for them to do it. And this focused period of 2 months from November to Jan, it enables them to, do right, just that. Then comes the pitch part. we are completely transparent on what we are going to be using the money for. The entire set of volunteers know where the amount went to, what percentage went where, and those who are long-term volunteers know from the previous year where that money was spent. So we have that credibility, they believe us, and that ignites them further. Then comes the structure and the gamification bit. It's impossible for managers to go across 20 cities managing 56 centers. So we have a driver and coach system where our old-term volunteers, they motivate and push the volunteers to do better each and every time. They understand what is going wrong with them, or if they might have any issues with respect to, or they hit a roadblock, and then they collect best practices and share it with the volunteers, and it spurs them on, and there's a result. And lastly, on the volunteer side, it's voluntary. Nobody is forced to raise money. And that's an important point, I feel. You know, there's no pressure on you. You're already doing a great job teaching the kids. You don't need to go beyond and beyond to raise any money, but you still do so because of your own interest. And that's why we had about like 2,000 out of 2,400 volunteers raising money for us. Finally, this is my last point. With respect to the tech side, we've kind of taken this on quite big. In the initial years, in 2011, there was no tech. We raised 3 lakhs in one city. And today we are able to raise 1.9 crores. It's purely because of the technology that we're using. The ability to use UPI payments, card payments. Firstly, this adds credibility. You're not handing cash to somebody, right? And then there's the part where we've used WhatsApp, free technology like WhatsApp, PowerPoint, Excel, to continuously analyze and put out these results on a continuous basis. We communicate with our volunteers constantly without spamming them, of course, and that has worked for us. These are our key points. Yeah.
Okay. So that's the downside of sharing questions with panelists in advance. I was going to ask him 5 questions sequentially. He's answered all 5 questions. So we'll come to you, Prabhu. Why don't you tell us how you at Isha have been able to engage volunteers in raising, and you do it largely through marathons.
Yes.
So can you walk us through that as well?
Okay. So what we do at Isha Vidya is we are into rural education. We provide quality education to underprivileged rural children. We have 10 schools, 9 in Tamil Nadu, 1 in Andhra Pradesh. As our founder says, we don't want to give education as information that anybody can do. We want to inspire the children so that they can grow on their own and attain their fullest potential. There are 2 main aspects. One is Power English, which is helping children learn English the same way we learn on VolCon. First we hear, listen, understand, speak, read, finally write. So this way even children from tribal background, they are able to speak in English fluently within 4 to 6 years of schooling. The next is computers. Children learn how to use computers, and they also learn few subjects using computers right from first standard. They have exclusive computer labs and digital classrooms. And third is our own expertise, backup from the foundation, which is yoga. Children learn yoga at the age of 4, at the age of 7, and they practice it every day before having their everyday meals. And they give nutritious meals, and we have all the facilities that are available in urban schools like library, maths lab, exclusive maths lab, science lab, and sports facilities. So that help children. So people who do inner engineering programs or Isha programs come back to projects and support, like us as volunteers, and they are very willing to see how they can support, reach out to more number of kids. So Marathon is a very wonderful platform, whereas the volunteers take a lot of efforts. They pay the registration fee from their pocket, and then they practice rigorously for 2 to 3 months, and then they actually run the marathon, be it 42 kilometers or 21 kilometers, even 10 kilometers. It's they take a lot of effort. So we explain the projects and help them understand the impact that they create, organize, visit to the school, and give some support, like creating fundraising campaigns. So it is even people from the senior leadership level, like the CEO and the CFO, executive directors, they are also raising funds. And we just had a finished Tata Mumbai Marathon. Sadashiv Rao, he is CEO of one of the company. He raised 1.2 crores for our project. He is a top fundraiser, one of the top fundraisers there in Mumbai. Thank you.
Okay, so please, before I come to you, I want to just kind of, build a little more detail. And so both of you, we have NGOs here in the audience, right? Can you give that? Okay. Any corporates in the audience? No. There are a couple, so might be interesting for them. For the NGOs at least, and for the corporates that want to get their employees involved in fundraising, what do you think the NGO needs to do differently to motivate more volunteers to raise money? It's awkward to ask for money, right? I mean, most of us who engage with volunteers, our biggest struggle is, can I really go to them and say, please raise money? They have not come here to raise money. Will I lose my volunteers if I ask them to raise money? So, what do we need to do differently as NGOs to motivate the volunteers to actually raise money for the cause without insisting that they do it? Alan, you want to go first?
Yeah. So I think firstly you need to have a culture of transparency. Like I said, we have a 9-month program, and when you are that long in a year visiting a center week on week, then you know what the shortfall of your center is, what the shortfall for that kid is, and and obviously you know how much each thing costs from our salaries, our impact reports are out there, our annual reports are out there. So that level of transparency is available, and that is a big plus point, I think. When a program becomes credible.
So you're saying that your salaries are known to all your volunteers?
Yes, they are. Yeah. So
that's an important thing.
that's a general level of transparency I'm talking about. Another is empathy and availability. Managers, the fundraising managers, yes, you're asking them to raise money on your behalf, but at the same time, some of our managers themselves were raising money. The employees themselves were participating in this. We were walking the talk. Secondly, anybody had a problem. Even at 1 a.m., we had international contributions. People in America are having a problem with UPI or card payments. And our managers were out there, awake, listening to them. So this kind of, the fact that we were available and as driven to this cause and showing it, I guess this added additional support to whatever cause we were doing, and this ended raising more credibility for our cause. Third would be that, we are open to feedback, right? We explain the process. Look here, we are going to have, best fundraiser, best center award, best volunteer, and these are the sort of gamification process we are going to have. You will know what is going right and what is going wrong with each other. So when we are open to feedback, there are certain elements that the volunteers are not comfortable with. Mind you, 90% of our volunteers are students, by the way. So it's quite credible that they raised 9,600 rupees on an average, just being students. When we are open to feedback as to what they're comfortable and what, we get to eliminate things that they're not okay with, and that leads to a better overall program. Finally, I guess you need to have a sense of humor when you're with these kids, when you're with your volunteers. A Garfield cartoon would not make as much sense as an Avengers theme would today. So you need to keep your communication relevant, connect with them, and all these put together, I guess.
You can just, so Prabhu, same question to you, because you also mentioned the example of Sadashiv, who's a CEO of a company. Sometimes you have these senior people that come to organizations like yours, and they have even bigger egos, right? I mean, you can go to a youngster and say, boss, please raise money for me. Or do you go to a CEO and tell him, he's writing a 10 lakh rupee check to you, you're telling him, boss, raise money for me. How do you do that?
So our approach is very apparent. We just give them a scenario. What will happen to these kids if they don't get education? So they may be, become antisocial elements. And when it comes to fundraising, we always have that barrier to ask somebody to give money. So we make it very clear that we don't ask people to donate money to ourselves. We are asking somebody to donate to the children who are in need. So there is no need to be shy about it. You are actually giving somebody an opportunity to help the kids. So we make that very clear. And like we try to create a visual impact. How the kids are, like we play some video and we keep them updated about the project happenings. So that's kind of motivating for them.
Interesting. Piyush, you of course work with a lot of non-profits using your platform. Question for you is, have you seen characteristics of what kind of NGOs are actually able to successfully use volunteers to raise money? So, like, we have a large number of NGOs in this room. For some of them, that may not even be the right approach, right? You shouldn't try it. So, how would you tell them who should try it and who shouldn't?
I think we have helped more than 1,000 non-profits raise money, and increasingly volunteer-driven fundraising is the best strategy for online fundraising. So I think in India, a lot of the empathy in online donors is largely towards healthcare and education, but skills training, women empowerment, even other cause areas, there are many which do work. I think generally speaking, online donors are more impatient as compared to the offline donors, as compared to CSR or HNI donors. So areas where they can understand how a 1,500 rupee donation, which is the average on crowdfunding, can make a substantial difference in the underlying cause, those are the ones that work well. So unfortunately, things like sanitation, things like building a hospital, those do not get as much support. But when you say help this cancer patient, or provide skills training to this center which has 100 people, that's when you get a lot of sympathy. So whenever you will be able to quantify that, how that specific 1,000 rupees, 500 rupees, 2,000, 5,000 can really make a tangible contribution, which that donor can really get, even in terms of feedback after they make a donation, those are the causes that actually get maximum support. And in India, generally speaking, in terms of the research, education and healthcare, get the lion's share of even CSR funding, HNI funding. Of course, online representation is fairly similar. Actually, for crowdfunding platforms, healthcare accounts for 80% of the volumes, because fundamentally, I think because so many of you are here from non-profits, you need to understand people want complete transparency. What exactly am I paying for? And so whatever cause area you are working in, you need to innovate and think about how to sort of create a product in terms of how to appeal to donors who have this kind of mindset, that if I'm paying such and such money, what am I getting back in return? If I'm paying 1,000 rupees, am I sort of training one person to be unemployed to now be trained to work at a call center, for example? So that's my general rule for people. If you can do that, it can work on crowdfunding. It's difficult to do in sanitation or infrastructure projects.
I hear that, but the corollary to that is culturally, and that's more of the question, that as an organization, what kind of culture do I need to have, or what kind of organizations you've seen that have been able to get a large number of volunteers to go out and raise money for them?
So I think Teach for India, for example, has a large number of fellows, and many of them teach students in various schools. They tend to do a lot of crowdfunding. One of the examples I want to talk about is a small non-profit called the Apprentice Project in Pune. One of the Teach for India fellows created this organization to provide life skills training, and they were able to raise like 16.5 lakh rupees in about a month's time, and they had 60 volunteers. And so very similar to the UNI strategy, which is get people engaged in volunteering, and then once they are convinced about the underlying cause, it's very easy to convert them to fundraise. And technology has a very big role to play, because fundamentally speaking, a lot of people do not understand what their own capability is to be able to raise money. See, one of the biggest insights of doing crowdfunding for the last 5 years, and this might be surprising for people, is actually more important than the underlying cause is the person who asks for that money. So if Venkat is going to ask, Alan, that give money because I believe in XYZ cause, Alan will contribute not because of what the underlying cause is, but because Venkat asked that money, right? This is a very big insight. And that's what technology-based fundraising platforms and crowdfunding allow non-profits and corporates actually to use very effectively, where you can raise money from all over the world, all payment methods, great experience, complete transparency, which many non-profits themselves do not have the infrastructure to be able to do. Very few have Sadhguru and other kind of resources that Isha has. But that's also an option. Even Akshay Patra has its own crowdfunding platform. But because this is a day-to-day business for us, we even optimize for the color of the donation button and the experience on the mobile and the speed and which payment channels are failing and how to switch. It's a very technical game, but we do that as a company in the background, which is why non-profits love fundraising on our platforms.
Lovely. So that brings me to the last question for you all before we open it up to the audience, which is, what kind of support structure have you built to support your volunteers? You kind of already half answered it, Alan, so if there's anything else you want to add, and then Prabhu, I'll reach your case.
I guess most of it is covered in my points. You have a dedicated and designated team. Do not interfere with your original program. The fundraising function is a separate thing. And ensure it happens just once.
Why do you need to do this?
The teach managers, they have a rapport for providing support in terms of teaching, enabling the volunteers. When the fundraising managers come, the teach managers have their own KPIs, right? And the fundraising managers know what they're asking for. They are well versed with what the money is being used for, and they're well versed with strategy. Technology, guys. I'm not talking about just crowdfunding platforms or something like that, but even WhatsApp, PowerPoint, Excel. Use them extensively from whatever reports you get, and synthesize information. Go to the local level. I know what is happening at a center, with a volunteer in Assam, sitting in Bangalore, because of the support, one, my tech platform provides me. Second, because of the analysis I'm able to do with that information. That's something that is available to our volunteers, to our drivers and coaches, and to our entire fundraising managers. Right. And finally, constant communication, that's key. Everybody needs to know where they stand. In this 2-month period, it's a high focus activity. We are not going to ask you anytime ever again in the entire year. For those 2 months, you need to know where Chennai stands versus Bangalore versus Assam. And when you bring in credibility to this, for example, we had newly established centers last year who couldn't raise any money because they did not believe in the cause. They hadn't experienced the cause themselves. It was just 1 month into the program. But this year, these centers are broken into the top 10. And that's because of the communication we do and because of the drive we put into this.
Lovely. Prabhu, what kind of support do you provide to your marathoners in terms of helping them raise money?
Okay. So what we do is we actually have virtual centers in each city. Let's say in Bangalore, for example, there are 8 cities, and Chennai there are 20 centers. So we approach people through these centers. We identify a core volunteer who is very involved, who is interested in marathon, and then we coordinate all the activities through that person. Firstly, we start with the registration and sending out emails and communication, setting up registering and then collecting the data in the Google Sheet, and then invite them as soon as the registration is over, we invite them on a practice run. So we help them literally to participate in the marathon very effectively, not only for fundraising, and help them step by step. And 1 month before the marathon, we conduct the runners meeting where we play the video of the project and give information about the kids, the impact that we create. Then we ask them to create a fundraising page, and when we give them fundraising tips and whom to approach, maybe people who are in abroad, they're very close contacts. If you ask somebody who is not very close to you, they may not value. And also, even after the marathon, we send them a thank you card, because it's always there is time for fundraising. In our experience, the marathon, the peak of the fundraising happens only last week before the marathon. So that is very crucial. We have to keep. We also, help them in getting their bibs, giving them T-shirts. There are so many ways that, giving them placard. We, like give them the sense of ownership that, they are supporting the project. And even after the marathon, we send them thank you templates. And like for Diwali, last year we started sending Diwali cards, not only to the donors, but also to the fundraisers made by the kids. They were very happy, and then most of them continue raising funds.
Lovely. So Piyush, the last question to you before we open it out. So you did allude earlier to the fact that you provide a lot of tools. Can you tell us a little more about what kind of tools you offer and how can these organizations benefit? And for example, we haven't addressed the two corporates in the room as well, right? So if I'm a corporate and I want to get my employees to raise something like the challenge that Alan threw up in you and I want different departments to compete or different city branches to compete on a fundraising challenge. What kind of tools would you give them to help them tap this?
Yeah, so on the corporates, even large groups like Tata are actually doing active employee engagement crowdfunding with us, with a new campaign launching soon where the employees are going to be donating towards Tata buying shoes for people who do not have that on the street. And so how does, what kind of tools do we provide? So number one is a great backend infrastructure view where they understand how much each employee has contributed, which donors have contributed, also which employees of theirs have contributed with their corporate ID, so that they can track all of this, and all of them have usually some sort of incentives. Many of them often use CSR matching funds. So many of you might be getting CSR funds and may not even know that beyond getting CSR support from those nonprofits, you can go and pitch employee engagement via crowdfunding and get additional funds from that nonprofit. It's a great branding, PR opportunity, and an engagement opportunity for a corporate to engage with the larger employee base. So the tools is backend infrastructure view. There's a lot of training regarding all of this. You get detailed statistics and data that how many people visited your page, how many of them donated, how many of their contributions did not take place. We provide you exports of all of this data in terms of compliance now. You need the PAN number of every donor. So all of this information is available. You can thank them again using the tools. You can engage them so that in your future campaigns, again, it's easy for you to mobilize money. So I think those are some of the key tools that we provide in terms of infrastructure.
Lovely. Great. So let me open it out. Lots of hands going up. Do I have anybody to help me here? Okay. Can you take this mic? We've got enough on the stage. And Sunil, I'll just point you to who so that you can pass the mics on. Him first, Mansi next, him third, and Karthi next. Sorry, your name please? Sai. Okay. So here first, then Mansi, then Sai, then Karthi, then, sir, your name? Anil. Okay. And then if we have time left, Kailash. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hi. So I heard everything you said. Still people aren't willing to pay that money. So how to change the mindset of those people who are not willing to pay that less amount, even if it is so less, people are not willing to pay that amount of money. And also they feel like if not me, someone else will do it. So why should I do it? How to change the mindset and how to raise funds with common.
Any one of you wants to take that?
Okay, so I'll share my thoughts. So not everybody whom we are approaching may be donating money. So if somebody may not be really willing to donate, they may be having personal issues. So we don't want to push them. So that is our approach.
Any of you?
If not me, then someone else concept is kind of non-existent in our environment, because firstly we are not open to the public. Isha's campaign was open to the public. So 2,400 volunteers, each of them sit in the same room, speak to each other, talk about how they raise money, and the kid needs books, the child needs uniforms, the child needs some sort of support system in terms of benches and desks. that itself, sort of solves the issue. So when each of them knows that, say an Abhishek in a room knows that Naveen has raised 5,000 and both of them are 18 years old and both of them are almost of the same economic background, it kind of creates that if he can do it, then perhaps I can as well. It's something akin to, the top 5 rankers in a class saying, if that guy can get first rank, then I can do so as well. That kind of, I think that spirit is kind of imbibed in our program, imbibed in our volunteers.
Venkat, can you answer the question? How to get
I will be happy to do that outside the room. Let's go to Mansi's question next.
So my question is to Alan, specifically about the process of how you manage to get the fundraisers live. Basic details, right? During your induction or orientation of your volunteers, when they first came in their first month, were they told that their role would be to raise funds later on? So was that expectation already set, or did it come as a shocker? And second, what was the training like? Because we piloted it at Saturday Art Class last year as well, and it was actually good, but a lot of people were scared, like, what do we do? College kids especially. So like, how do you market it? Because it could be like a really good fundraising tool, the way you interact with people. So I just want to go into because we had a session on orientation. How did you all start this? And were people like excited about it, or were they just like, we're not comfortable raising funds?
I saw you, were they excited about it in an apprehensive way? Actually, they were. They were excited about it. From the beginning of our program, we explain the calendar, right? We have this 9 months program, 2.5 hours, then key events, when will the volunteer training happen, when will the staff fundraising happen, when will the student or volunteer fundraising happen. So all of this is kind of mapped out. And it is presented to them right at the beginning of the program. So they are aware. Secondly, when it comes closer to the program, Keto was our tech partner here, and we have been doing this for 9 years now, and with the tech partner for about 3 years. So we kind of have a gist of what happens, what are the doubts they have, what are the apprehensions they have, and how you can approach, or how you can, you still do your traditional things like auctions, bake-offs, knocking on friends and family. But when your mom or dad says, hey, my kid has been teaching on, for a 9-month period, for a 5-month period, and he or she keeps going for 2.5 hours every week. I've seen them do it. That itself raises a credibility among the parents also, among your near and dear ones. And I guess the discomfort is lost there. And there's actually a palpable sense of excitement. Hey, I'm going to do this much. How much are you going to do? They see it as a game. Even the gamification process, I guess, kind of helps. Because, Chennai did better last year. Maybe this time, we as Bangaloreans will do much, much better. So that kind of spirit exists. And we are grateful that we have volunteers who have that kind of a spirit. Yeah.
Sai?
Yes. I just have a question with specific to a couple of kinds of volunteers, right? One is the continuing volunteers. Like, is your strategy to recruit new sourcing pool, the majority of them being new sourcing pool every year? Or like, are continuing volunteers there in your system who raise funds year on year? Because we face challenges like the continuing volunteers exhaust their donors in the first year. How do they take it forward from there? How do you inspire them to keep raising funds year on year? Because we see value in continuing volunteers. That is one. The next one is volunteers who are not able to raise funds. Like, what do you do at the end of the year to the volunteers who are not raising funds? Do you just let them be, or like, how do you go about that?
With respect to new and old volunteer, yes, about 80% are new volunteers and 20% are old volunteers, and that pattern exists. That you have asked the last year, so it's not so easy for you to raise the same kind of amount this year as well. That's existing, but we cannot help that. We have not yet managed to address it, but maybe we are able to mitigate it because we have the other 80% being more pumped, more stronger. Your second question was what happens if volunteers do not raise money, right? As I said, it's voluntary, right? Your job is to teach the kids. That is the most important aspect of our program. You have to teach the kids. such that one, they get educated, second, they have the aspiration. They see you becoming a doctor or a lawyer or an architect. They feel that, they can themselves aspire to go out of their orphanage and become like you. So that is the crux of our program. So there is no pressure on fundraising. You can still continue to volunteer the next year as well. There is zero emphasis on whether you raise or not raise. It happens naturally, and as I said, I'm grateful we have volunteers who are like that.
Okay, I know there are 3 or 4 more questions. Unfortunately, we seem to have run out of time. The good news is we have a 15-minute break as soon as this is over, so please look at their clothes, catch them outside and continue asking them your questions. Big thanks to all the panelists, and